you ready?
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Weeb Club. Unlike Vindy, I am not counting, so I have forgotten what the number is. It's either 34 or 35.
35.
35, I see.
Yes. 35. Let me see. Let's see if there's anything interesting for 35.
It's what 7 times 5 is.
Nothing interesting. All right, cool. Yeah, 7 times 5. This is actually our 5th time doing the first 7 episodes of the weekly all over again.
That's exactly how numbers work.
Yep.
All right, comments. People liked the last episode. Or
People
at least
definitely liked the last weekly. A lot of comments, a lot of likes, a lot of views. Who knew? Y'all like when we talk about bad takes. I never would have thought that that's what y'all want to see us do. What a surprise.
Yep, which is also related to our second video that we'll talk about after we get through the comments on this one.
Yes. I'm looking. Bunch of people talked about the Bechdel test. Water says he always say how people use the Bechdel test, since failing it doesn't automatically make something anti-feminist or sexist and vice versa, but people use it like that. I'm like, yeah, that's true. We're like, that's pretty much what we were saying, but I like the way he worded it. There are a lot of long comments, which makes it hard to talk about. Yeah, I know.
I'm trying to pick out ones to respond to.
All right, good one. No, maybe not. Never mind. I lied. Bad comment. I actually didn't think about it. Craftsdwarf kind of spitting though. Nautico is hot and people are dog shit stupid about her. 2 problems. 1, the dog shit and dog shit stupid is 1 word. Important information for everyone here.
You made a minor spelling mistake.
Dog shit stupid is 2 words, not 3. And second of all, no, Nautico's not hot.
I don't know.
No.
Yes.
Wrong. It's okay, Craftsdwarf. Everyone, look, 50% of the time, everyone's wrong.
All right. I'm going to end your life.
50% of the time, everyone's dog shit stupid. 2 words.
You just hate snakes because you're a rat. You're afraid of them.
Okay, and prove it.
There's literally, I'm pretty sure there's recording of you saying you have a phobia of snakes. Because I remember, because you talked about it, I think it was the Order of the Phoenix, or maybe it was one of the Harry Potter movies where, the way they move really creep you out.
Yeah, no, I hate snakes. I talk about it all the time. They are my biggest fear. But that's not why Nautico sucks. She sucks for more reasons
I wish
than
she
that.
would.
Okay. Nunmanji, pick a comment and say something.
I don't give a shit about the comments, so.
Oh my fucking god.
At least he's in character. So yeah, I guess speaking of Twisted Dan's mentioned Show Don't Tell is overrated, and that's like, well, I also really agree with
goat comment. I agree with that. Yeah.
And Ozurite kind of replies that it's more like people treat it like some sort of immutable rule. Like, I think having a preference towards one or the other is perfectly fine, but it's definitely not the immutable rule that a lot of people bring it up as. And also, I think I remember when you and what we're talking about, I think it was, what was the show? It was one of the old Weeb clubs, like literally the first or second one. What was that one show that came out like on Netflix and everybody hated it?
Oh, the original Weeb club, Be the Beginning.
Yes, it was called Be the Beginning. I was just like, I didn't watch that one. Yeah, and I remember because like it was a show where you guys described, because I never watched it, but I remember you guys describing it as like, you guys were paying attention and understanding it, but like, the show was using Show Don't Tell, and also people didn't like it and didn't understand what it was doing. So it's like,
people want to be told, I think, without knowing they're being told. Like, they want to be told everything, but they don't want it to be too obvious they're being told, and they don't want it to be too, like, not obvious they're being told, right?
There's like a sweet spot condescended to, but they also don't want to feel like they don't get it, because if they feel like they don't get it, oh, it's pretentious. Oh, there's nothing here.
It doesn't make sense.
Like it doesn't make any sense, right? But so yeah, so yeah, I guess that's my take on that topic.
One more, which is Hollow Man left a comment. Someone else commented it, but it was in some long ass fucking one of those long comments that I read, but I'm not gonna read it all out now.
You can summarize.
Well, Hollow Man's was just that Klimps's Kingdom Hearts videos are bad, and someone else went more into it. And then I did think it was funny also seeing a bunch of people agree with my sentiment of like, I have those series that I just don't watch. Like, they just don't watch videos on. And I'm not gonna say I thought I was like the only one, but I didn't. I guess it's nice to see that everyone has those series where it's just like, I'm good, not gonna worry about it.
Well, I think a lot of the commenters are more so liars about it. They fucking like watching bad videos and discussing them and shit. Most of them. It's like a 1% where they are actually legit.
Sad. I was gonna say because or Imox one talked about because I guess you were I've been actually thinking about this because Vindy, you mentioned how like you think it's easier to talk about or things that are good than like talk about things that are bad. Well, I guess I think was what you said.
Yeah, I think it's easier for especially a lot of YouTubers can generally make much better videos praising something than their videos generally like bashing something. But some people disagreed with me. Is that what you were gonna say?
Well, no, it's he brought up just like mostly talk about like likes and dislikes and stuff. But what I was just the way I was thinking about it is I was looking because I've been rewatching some of my old videos to better like leave good responses to them in the comments of why they fucking suck. And I guess like really what I was thinking about is because I watched rewatched my Infinite Revias video, which is like my fucking second video or third video. No, it was my third video, like old video, and also my first Hidamari sketch video. And both of those videos are positive, and it was just like interesting because like the Hidamari sketch one makes the problem because there's a whole thing with Akiyuki Shinbo because his name is on like every Shaft project regardless of how much he was involved or not, which is kind of a controversy around him because some people say he does everything, some people say he does nothing. And that video aired on the side of saying he does everything and not really understanding what the deal was. But the actual analysis of the scene I talk about was, it was fine. My Infinite Revias video was dog shit. Like, and this is me talking about a show that I liked. And because I guess the reason I was thinking about this example is because I was thinking about like, my old videos, and it's like, I had an easier time making longer videos on things that I didn't like or had problems with, so I guess my, like I did a whole 7-part series on Fairy Tail and why it was bad, where even, I didn't have that many One Piece videos for a good while. Like it was harder for me to say good things about One Piece, I guess, but also I didn't reread it until the Nen show, which was after the tirade. I guess I was more responding to my previous thoughts because as I'm rewatching the old videos, it's like I was just most of the time talking like if I was talking about bad, it was like I was shut the fuck up, you idiot. Like I don't think there were any good points I had about negative points at the time. But my good videos, my positive videos rather, like they could still be shit. And because I wasn't throwing anything under the bus in the Infinite Revice video, I just didn't understand the show and was like praising it for things that I don't think are really that interesting to praise it for. Like, oh, well, this could be a problem, but it happens organically, so it's actually not. And I'm like, it wasn't a problem in the first place, but why? Like, it's just saying weird, dumb shit. So I guess, like, I don't know. So yeah, I guess, like, after thinking about my old talks, I guess I am leaning towards it's easier to say good things in a proper way than in bad things in a proper way, I guess. Or, proper as in, like, by, thing you would know based on how we discussed it in this episode and the last one. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sad.
Yeah, I don't know, I again, like, I feel bad because like I want you guys to know, like the people who leave these long comments, right? I read them and I really appreciate all the long comments, right? Like I really appreciate them. I think a lot of times they're really interesting, getting y'all's perspective. The problem is because we read out the comments, it just is hard to, it's very hard to like talk about them on the episodes, even though generally I think that like they're always really good, and especially an episode like this where it has really good comments, I do go read them all.
I don't know, see, because I mean, I don't actually read comments out loud unless they're short, but, so I guess, like, if I were to, like, I try to pick ones that I think I have something interesting to, like, follow up on or add to, or, or maybe they're, like, just good on their own, but, they're, in those cases it's more, I don't know, there was a lot of good comments, so in this case it's more about choosing them, and, I'm about ready to move on.
Yeah, me too.
Even though there's other good comments that I have.
I didn't watch the EWB, so I don't even know what video. I don't even know what and I do actually know it was Kimetsu, because I remember the conversation where Nun thought that he didn't do the EWB with you, but I don't know what any of it was about. I don't even know what YouTuber you guys watch, so... You're tickled pink over there.
Well, that's just funny.
God damn it. Sorry, I read a comment where it's so by the way, in case you didn't read the description, that video was recorded like half a year ago, over half a year ago. So I just laughed at the comment because Noelle says, "What? ITLC and Kowloon Ball Parade are getting canceled?" As we talked, I brought up like shonen manga, jump manga that I thought were about to get canceled, and I was right.
Oh, funny. Isn't it so funny how that works? How you'll record something, and like you'll record something and it's like, then it comes out way later, but because of like that time delay, it just like it makes it like really funny in retrospect, or like in the time it came out in versus when it actually recorded. Like it wasn't like meant to be like this like funny thing, but then now that because there was time that passed, so even people who watch it timely when it came out, it's like almost things can get dated, and it's not that like because obviously that kind of dating isn't ever bad, right? It just kind of helps determine like I don't even know how to explain this, like the like the context that the video was recorded in. But it can be so funny to see sometimes.
Did you have any comments to respond to, Nun? Or shall I go through the ones I wanted to respond to real quick?
He doesn't care about the comments.
Okay, I was going to mention one, but I guess you don't want me to mention one.
God damn it.
Anyway, Christina Walker's comments dog shit. Literally fucking misses the point of what we're doing there. Especially when we don't even think that the video's like that bad. It's not.
No, I would say it's definitely one of the better ones that we've covered on an EWB.
It's probably the second best video after the Under the Scope Hitamari one, just since that video was good for the first half of it and then got
right.
bad.
Where this video was like the reverse. I think I might have even mentioned that in the episode in the video where it's like the first half has all the like the particular like annoying points, and the second half is better. But yeah, like I mean, even like I was saying before with my Infinite Revise video, like a positive video can still be like wrong, incorrect. And I do think like Turtle Man kind of talks about just sort of how people dismiss things as generic, and like people put out these lists of like, here reinventing the shonen formula, and then they're all bullshit, or don't really understand that many works in the battle shonen genre.
I did think there was like when I rewatched the EWB, I thought there was like one joke in there that he made that was like fine, but we still talked about it, even though it was kind of whatever. I don't remember what the fucking joke was, but I don't know. I guess
sometimes
I disagree
that just happens,
with
though.
what my previous self said or whatever.
You'll get like pissed, and then you just start. Like, no, you don't have a sense of humor, right? You're just fucking like,
Yeah.
You get too angry to laugh.
Anyway,
that's why it tilts people so hard, by the way. If you ever get into an argument with someone and that person's really mad, if you start making jokes, it is not a good way to argue. But let me tell you what, as someone who does it on the regular, it is a phenomenal way to piss someone the fuck off, because they're already mad, so they don't care or can't recognize that you're joking. So when you start like making like obvious jokes that are so insanely like that are just batshit insane, and obviously no real person would ever say that, they can't recognize that because their eyes are clouded by anger, right? They're like the Jedi, like the anger clouds them, right? And then they just get even angrier, and it's so funny every time.
Anyway, before I forget, no drip, no sauce, no passion, no comedy, no male gaze, no functioning relationships, no shonen before Dragon Ball, no romance, no cute girls, no gatekeeping, no good intentions, no sequels, no paragons, no shonen, no generic shonen genre.
Let's go! It continues.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's
very
the
glad
that like
somebody
we don't care
remembered.
about bad videos anymore. Like I don't even watch good videos anymore. I just don't even care. You know, I watch fucking bullshit on YouTube, if anything. Like, but I wouldn't mind continuing the meme. So you know,
The meme
that's-
is like the only reason I have to want to make. Okay, there's two reasons I would have to want to make EWBs. That meme and the goddamn views. All right.
Yeah.
You know the Weeb Club are gonna be like at any point. You know the Weeb Club are hurting for views. If we just start dropping multiple EWBs in like a 3-month span, you know we're fishing. Like we're trying to get on the algorithm's good side. We're trying to smack them. You know.
So anyway, new things on the Reddit. You know, one is something we 100% need to talk about.
Yeah. No. I am completely down to read the Among Us manga for the weekly and do not an entire weekly, but like add a section like before or after Orient about the Among Us manga every time a chapter comes out. I'm actually so down
No,
because
it's just a one shot. It's not a
Fuck, it's just a one
a
shot?
full series.
Okay, then it's a backlog.
I'm okay with that.
Hey, viewers, 1 like on this episode for a backlog on the Among Us manga. So,
And then, so what are these hitboxes?
well, so what happened is I was streaming, right? Which, by the way, Weeb Club viewers, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, I stream, and someone asked me to T-pose to the Halo theme, so this is me T-posing. You can't hear the Halo theme, obviously, it's an image, but then he added hitboxes on my head and my arms, and then I have 3 different hurt boxes going down my body. And then for some reason I have a dick and balls hurt box, but one ball is like wider, and then the other one's like long and droopy. Like I have like a young man's ball and like an old man's ball, right? Like my balls are aged differently because one is like supple and firm, and the other one's like droopy. So I don't know what's going on there. But
Tragic.
funny. So,
All
yeah.
right. So getting on to the topic that was literally decided like a couple minutes before recording because we all completely forgot. So I don't know. We're just gonna generally talk about superheroes and like I don't know how we feel about them, stuff we like. Because I mean we do talk about them fairly often. We've talked a lot about the MCU stuff on the backlog or on the weekly roundup parts. You know. And, so it's like, and I mean, I guess just to kind of start off with is like, maybe it's not the best place to start off with. I don't know, because superhero fatigue, which I get, because there's a lot, but I don't know. Personally, I'm not superhero fatigued at all. I don't know about you guys.
I think personally, the pandemic actually helped my superhero fatigue.
Okay, yeah.
Because
no,
I wouldn't say
yeah.
that like now I'm definitely not, but it's also weird because I guess like I was never like I'm more into like superhero things and like trying to pay attention and learn more about it now and like way more interested in like superhero media as a whole now than I was even when like Endgame and Infinity War and shit came out. I was like, yeah, I like the MCU. I'll go see them. And like I liked it, but it wasn't like I cared a lot and thought a lot about it and like wanted to read comics more or wanted to play a lot of different like superhero games or watch videos on superhero stuff that like realistically I'm just never going to read. But it's interesting, and so I like listening to it and like learning about it. So I'm way more into them now than I have been. So like I'm so far away from being superhero fatigued. But it definitely, I think, was setting in for me a little bit because, like, I think superhero fatigue can really set in if you're like kind of passively interested in superheroes.
Yeah.
And so after Endgame, I definitely was like not about to go like watch Black Panther, right, or go watch something else, like whatever, or not Black Panther, Black Widow. I'm sorry, I got the classic racist, got the blacks confused. And so. I definitely was a little superhero fatigued, and then I am not at all now, and I'm like super excited about like all the different superhero shit that's going on. So, But I get it for sure.
No, yeah, because to give an example, my brother was someone who like he saw Endgame and he was like, yeah, he just hasn't been feeling like I have been like telling like with Phase 4, like as I've been watching stuff, I've been saying like, oh, WandaVision, it's really good. Black Widow and Eternals, they're on the skippable side. Like even though I've liked everything in Phase 4 so far, it's just more of a matter of degrees. Like honestly, there hasn't been anything I've actively like not liked in the MCU since fucking Thor: The Dark World. So it's like whatever. But yeah, and I guess I was thinking about it and like because yeah, I do think that because we did the whole MCU rewatch / catch up. Like it's still in progress, but we started that last year. And like if anything, that reinvigorated my interest in the cape stuff and superheroes because like I'm super invested in what's going on in the MCU, and I really want to see. What Moon Knight is presumably going to start late March, early April. I'm really interested in Doctor Strange, so I'm just super curious to see what everything's been building up to and catching up to the stuff that I haven't seen Hawkeye and stuff. But yeah, I also technically what happened is a friend of mine, my best friend, who he recently rewatched and finished Legion, which was a TV series that I think the main character is like Charles Xavier's son or something, and it has like it's like not strongly actually connected to the X-Men movies or anything, but it is based off an X-Men character, and it's one of his favorite shows, and so I was interested in watching it, but then I kind of like stepped back and like because I remember it used to have like not a hate boner, but I definitely kind of like, oh, the X-Men they're kind of dumb. Isn't it weird that the everyone's racist against mutants, but they don't care about the other superheroes, which is like just a shitty take. And so I kind of like decided like, well, okay, so there's going to be under the Marvel Studios later, there's going to be a new season of X-Men 97. I only ever watched X-Men and X2 from the Fox movies and Logan. So I guess yeah, I've about halfway through the first season of X-Men the animated series. So yeah, and then I'm eventually going to go through basically all of the video X-Men stuff eventually, like, and I don't know how long it'll take because I'm mostly interested in Legion and X-Men the animated series, but I figure I might as well watch some of the movies too, because I know some of them aren't good, but like Days of Future Past was probably the most First Class was also pretty well liked, I think, and
probably I think X2 or Days of Future Past, I'd imagine.
Okay.
Or actually, I'm wrong. It's Logan. Which, yeah, I mean, Logan. I guess that's like 50-50 if you actually count Logan as an X-Men movie. Mm-hmm. But if you do, I think it's Logan is like I have never heard anyone say anything bad about Logan.
I'm kind of including like the Wolverine movies as part of the X-Men. So. Oh, you don't like Logan? Okay.
No, I mean I've seen it, but it's not like super memorable for me like other people. But it's been a while. I would have to rewatch it.
Well, had you also seen like all the X-Men movies before it?
I have no idea. I know I've seen some of them because I even remember going to the theaters to see one, and I know I fell asleep in the theater, so I fucking missed it.
This fucking guy.
To be fair, how old were you then?
I don't fucking remember. I was like, I don't know.
20.
You're older or younger than 10 years old?
See, the first thought that came to my mind was 9, but like I wouldn't know because I don't know what movie it was. I just know it was an X-Men movie.
Okay.
So I couldn't like trace back the specific time.
But yeah, I guess the other reason I was specifically interested in, I mean, maybe not just X-Men, but also just like the kind of other Marvel movies that never, came out before the MCU started, because on my server they did a big watch through of all the DC movies from like Superman and Batman from, the 70s and 80s up to, not the DC EU, but they watched all the animated movies. They basically just, they did stuff from other labels, like under that DC also owns, I think. So like they did a big watch of stuff, but and then obviously we've been doing the MCU. So like, I don't know anyone who's recently gone through all those like other Marvel movies, like the X-Men movies or like the 2000s Fantastic Four, or Ghost Rider, Punisher, so I've just been kind of thinking about those movies, and not that I'm disinterested in like other superhero movies, like rewatching. I'm thinking about rewatching the Spider-Man movies before No Way Home, if I rewatch that, and then stuff like that. So it's just like, I don't know, I've been thinking about it a lot. I keep thinking about the DCEU because Vindy, you liked Phase 2, and like, I don't know. They're big talking points, and I feel like it would be nice to have perspective on them. Even though I watched Man of Steel, didn't like it, and then ignored it for the last decade. So I'm like, well, I guess I was also interested in Peacemaker because that like started like a couple days ago. But then I started the first episode. It's like, oh, it's a direct sequel to the Suicide Squad, which I haven't seen. So, all right, never mind. I guess I won't watch this show yet. So I don't know. It's like, I guess, and I keep bolting off all these fucking movies, and I guess that's where the superhero fatigue comes in. Because now I'm looking at the old shit, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm interested in it, so it's not like I'm fatigued, but I guess I just see, like, just looking at it all, I'm just, I definitely see where it comes from.
I mean, I think, yeah, it makes sense why people have superhero fatigue, because it's like, you have to wait. So, first of all, you just have to keep waiting for every single movie to come out to keep up with this long-running series. And at a certain point, it's hard to keep your interest up when you, like, you at least have some compelled, like, you at least feel somewhat compelled to watch every movie, because it's not just, like, standalone film series. Because, like, if somebody just didn't like Black Widow or whatever, they couldn't just skip Black Widow and feel, like, super fine with doing that. No, you at least feel somewhat compelled, and so there's a lot of people compelled to keep up with everything, and you just kind of get tired of it, especially if, like, some films don't hit as strongly as some others because you don't like some characters as much as some other characters when there's so many characters in the MCU. So it makes a lot of sense why people be superhero fatigued at this point.
And also the same problem with, like, reading a manga weekly for years, right? Where you just start to forget things, and, like, things are less clear in your mind and memory as you're watching, like if you'd never rewatched the MCU, like, it would have taken you 10 years to get from Iron Man to Endgame and Infinity War and Endgame, right? So, like, there's gonna be shit you're forgetting, right? Like, after 10 years, you're a completely different person to a degree, right? Like, that's just how it works. So,
Yeah, I think, like, when it comes to a lot of the cool and unique things in the MCU that, we've picked up on through our watching, a lot of people wouldn't have those things in mind, because it's like, I just don't think anybody's, like, analytical ability, I guess, would be, like, up to par all the way back then to now. So, like, you're not carrying those things in your mind when you're watching future films, so they don't seem, like, as impressive. And it's not, like, the only way to enjoy a movie, but it's like, it can definitely help a lot, especially when it comes to, like, lead characters like Tony Stark or Captain America when they before Endgame finished.
Right, and the arcs are complete and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like, I get it, but also I definitely would say personally right now I'm not a part of it. And I think, like, people like to talk about superhero fatigue, but here's the thing, like, at the end of the day, right? There are motherfuckers, they've been reading comics every day for, like, their whole life, or, like, every week or whatever, multiple comics every week for their whole fucking lives, and they don't get fatigued, right? So it's like, I mean, superhero fatigue isn't a it's not a thing that happens to everyone, and it's not like a for sure thing, right? Like, it definitely can happen to people, but it's the same way, people, you can get fatigued on anything, right? Like,
I think in some way, like, I understand what you're saying, but in, like, some ways I kind of disagree with the idea of, like, oh, they've been reading all these comics and stuff, because it's like, I feel like with the MCU, since it's like a lot, like, we've compared it to being like a long-running TV show, continuous TV show, a lot of the movies are in, like, a similar style, whereas, like, comics, there's so many different comics to read that can feel very stylistically different depending on what someone's doing, that I don't think keeping up with comics for, like, 10 years versus keeping up with the MCU for 10 years is, like, quite the same. Like, I do get that there's a lot of comics that are connected and they could have, like, similar styles, but I don't know. There's a lot more comics that kind of change that. I don't think they're as, like, similar style as the MCU is overall.
I guess I get that, but I mean, ultimately my point really was just that, like, I think,
you can get burned out on anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And not everyone will get burned out on things. So it just depends. But, I do get why, I do get why people are superhero fatigued, but I think taking that superhero fatigue and then using it to like, try to make a claim about, like, the quality or say like, yeah, you know, I think the new MCU movies are bad, and then like use the fact that you're superhero fatigued for that is like really obviously just like dumb.
Yeah, I mean, or go on, then.
Oh, I was just gonna continue off of what Vinny was
that's
saying,
fine.
but I think you were also gonna do the same thing anyway.
I was gonna bring up something, but go ahead. It'll be more of a slight tangent or pivot to a different angle, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I definitely agree that people are taking this whole like I think the fatigue some people are feeling versus like this like I guess what's the word fuck why it's like on the tip of my tongue dismissive this dismissive attitude toward the MCU is like swirling together to something much bigger that like I see constantly, and maybe it was already happening for a very very long time, and it's that I wasn't really watching the MCU, so I literally just didn't fucking like when I'm not into a series, even though I'll probably see something about it, it just goes in one ear and goes out the other, so I just literally don't perceive it. Kind of how I just don't get spoiled on things really. I think like the fatigue plus like this kind of dismissive attitude people have toward the MCU, and in part like I don't know, I guess people like really like to hate on like big things, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's kind of where I was gonna go with it, because I definitely where more not where I was gonna go with it, but more like what I was thinking about with what I wanted to pivot to ended up going down that road anyway. With like, because what I was gonna bring up is just how like when you think, I guess like part of the fatigue might come from just the fact that like, yeah, there's been like look, in just the last 6-7 months, there have been 4 theatrical Marvel releases. Like Black Widow was what, July? So we're talking just the last half of 2021 had fucking Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man. So it's like, you know, and especially if you just look at, like, in the general like big movies, a lot of them are the, you know, superhero movies. But like, and so, you know, like I've heard people talk about like, oh well, they, you know, they're really big, they're getting a lot of these releases, they're getting lots of money. But I'm like, I don't know, there's other movies coming out. Right?
Yeah.
Like, the only conceivable reason I can think that you have to complain about the MCU specifically is, like, you don't watch things that aren't popular, maybe? Like, oh no, Dune was also really popular and came out fairly recently. It was totally hurt by the MCU somehow. I don't fucking know. Doesn't sound like it. Sounds like people love it. You know, in fact, more people are going back and reading the books and checking out the rest of this old series, this, you know, important piece of media, book, literature thing. Right? So, and like, because I guess people like to compare it to the Western of how, oh, it was this big thing and then it fucking died, because people are expecting the superheroes to die or something like that, which, you know, of course, trends, phases, like, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of, like, when, rather than if. But, like, I don't know. I think media is, like, there's so much more of it. There's so much coming out. It's accessible. Like, in comparison, like, there's so much you could be doing instead of, like, focusing on the popular things. Like, and maybe it's easy for me to say that because I kind of don't give a shit about, like, the general discourse or, oh god, popular thing, we need to talk about new popular thing, always with the new popular thing, because, like, you know, and I read Jump, I don't fucking talk about it with, like, anybody. I talk about, like, a couple manga with, like, some people, maybe, but, like, you know, I'm not in on the new chapter discussion with everyone, even with One Piece, which is literally my favorite piece of media ever. So, like, so yeah, maybe it's just, like, a personality thing with difference between me and people who do really care about discussing new popular thing, right. Because MCU is often new popular thing, so if you want to be in on new popular thing, you kind of have, like, so, you know, going back to the, like, oh, people, you know, tend to hate on things that are popular, you know, if they're that kind of person who has to be on the new thing, then they're gonna, you know, there's gonna be the popular things that they happen to like, and then there's gonna be the ones that they happen to dislike, and, like, that's just where they're focused on, and,
shit.
you know, maybe, or what?
Sorry.
It sounded like
Go
you said
ahead.
bullshit, and I was saying...
No, I said oh shit because
Okay.
I just when you were talking, something clicked in my mind that really like fucking annoys me.
Go ahead, or unless maybe you want to say something.
It's the people. It's like with people, even the people who aren't like actively watching the movies anymore. There's this like whole sector group of people who like insist on commenting on everything the MCU's doing, even though they like either stopped watching after Endgame or they stopped like way earlier on with like Winter Soldier or fucking like some random ass movie way back then, but like they just insist on like commenting on everything the MCU is doing because it's the popular thing and everybody's talking about it, and like they feel like they have to have some take when you could just like have no take on it, you know. Even if you didn't like what you saw, you don't have to say something when it's like you're all the way back over there and the MCU's in like an entirely different place right now. So it's just like it's unbelievably annoying.
Yeah,
and
like
I see that all the time.
To give an example with me is like I dropped Attack on Titan ages ago. I don't talk about it. I'm like it gets a lot of talk because it's a really popular series. The manga ending was super controversial. The anime it literally just started its last season. So I've seen a lot of cringe takes. I've seen a lot of positivity. I'm just gonna whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with me because I'm not caught up. I am not involved in the discourse because I have no fucking idea what people are talking about. And one day I will read it or something, and I'll be there. But I don't fucking know. So like, you know, I don't feel that drive to be, again, like in on the discourse, but I guess some people do, even if they're not even like experiencing the media. Like I was talking about how like, oh, people feel the need to talk about popular thing. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about the people who don't even need to feel the need to actually watch or experience the popular things to talk about it because whatever.
I think a lot of it has to do with this like culture that's very that's very prevalent on Twitter. Like even people who like are supposedly kind of like us who think it's like bad to like, I guess, mindlessly like shit on something or like kind of deny it of having merit or whatever. Those people, like, I think a lot of people on Twitter like to find something it's very acceptable to shit on and be like part of like people like to have the popular punching bag. Like Last of Us 2 is that. Like Vindy knows about that. And I think the MCU for a lot of people is that, like the popular thing that's acceptable to constantly shit on and just like dismiss.
Isn't No Way Home doing like really well financially? So it's not even like, oh, the MCU is dying. Well, shit. Like, nope. Here we go. Another big success. Like now you can't even say that. So now it's more reason to resent it.
I have two things I wanted to say about some of the stuff Kraft said.
No, go ahead.
One of them is like when he was talking about like, you know, there have been 4 movies in the last 6 months. I think the reason that happened is super important too.
Well, no,
because
it was COVID delays. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, it's that, you know, they have to get the movies out as soon as they can because they need the theaters to really make their money back, and then also it's that, you know, they need to catch up to the schedule, but also they can't just have these completed movies that they spent, you know, millions of dollars on just sitting there, right? So they have to like try to get the movies out as soon as they can.
No, if anything, I like personally speaking, can you guys move up Doctor Strange like a month or two, please? It's just I can't wait for that. I want it now.
Right.
I want it
now. Yeah, and I think now we're probably moving towards a more, you know, because what Doctor Strange is the next Marvel movie, right?
Yeah.
And Moon Knight's the next show.
Which, yeah, like I said, the date is recently like March 30th or something.
Yeah, it's like end of March and then May, right? So now the MCU is going to be going back to its normal release schedule, which I don't think is a problem at all because it's, you know, every 4 months you get a movie,
give or take.
The minute that fucking Shang-Chi's out of theaters, Eternals is in.
Came out like the next fucking month.
And then like, Eternals is out and Spider-Man is in. Because that's really what it was. It was 3 in 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, not counting Black Widow, it's way crazier to say there were 3 movies in 3 months. October had Shang-Chi, November had Eternals, December had Spider-Man, right? I
thought Shang-Chi was September.
I thought it was October. It might be September. I could be dog shit stupid. Then it was 3 and 4 months. I think it was September, actually. Thinking about it, I think you're right. And then
Shang-Chi is September.
Yeah. And then the other thing was, I can't remember it. It doesn't matter.
No.
I don't remember. It's not important.
Well, sad.
Do you want to move past superhero fatigue?
Yeah, no,
I'm a little fatigued of this topic.
Did you have a topic idea? Because I had one. But
which would just be like, I guess, I mean, there's a few different ones, but like what superhero media that isn't comics, that isn't the MCU? Are you guys either super interested in or, because I think, never mind. Okay, I remember what the other thing I was going to say was when you were talking about the MCU, the potential of the MCU dying. I don't think that the MCU or superhero movies or superhero media will ever go the route of the spaghetti western where they kind of just stop being made, and then the only things that are made are like essentially homages, right? Where like, you know, the only spaghetti westerns really we get nowadays, if we're being honest, is Quentin Tarantino making homages to him. That's like the only, you know what I mean? And that's obviously not true. There's still a bunch of Western movies that get made, but it's, you know, the genre definitely dropped a lot, and I don't think that would ever happen in that way to superhero movies, partially because superheroes have been so around for so long. And like the other thing that superheroes have is that like it's the same characters across all these different things. Obviously, right? Like the Spider-Man in the comics isn't the same as the Spider-Man in the game, isn't the same as the Spider-Man in the movies, isn't the same as like even the individual cartoon series, but it's still Peter Parker, right? And people that have an attachment to Peter Parker are going to immediately have a little bit closer of an attachment to something else they see that has Peter Parker in it, right? Because they'll associate this,
which
Peter
might also
Parker,
turn into negative things when it's like, oh, but this isn't like, which, you know,
right.
we've talked about that, how people, especially with the going back to MCU, where how people see like their idea of Spider-Man is the Raimi films, even though there are ways in which those films are not comic book accurate. So, you know,
yes.
Especially, you know, Tom Holland's Spider-Man being particularly different, you know, doesn't rubs people the wrong way. So, like, you know, it does go both ways, but I do understand what you're saying.
So, yeah, I just don't see, like, I don't see there ever being, and I'm just going to throw out, like, a ballpark number. I don't see there ever being more than 5 years without a Spider-Man movie.
Spider-Man
literally for, like, the rest of human history. You could probably say the same thing about Batman at this point. Obviously, you know, Batman films are kind of in a weird, and it's also hard because it's like, when I say that, it's like, obviously, the new Batman movie is the first solo Batman movie we've had since Dark Knight Rises. But do you count, like, Justice League and, you know, Batman versus Superman as Batman movies? Because if you do, then that holds up that they're, you know, we haven't had 5 years without a...
And you even mentioned not the Suicide Squad, but Suicide Squad as being, like he's... You know, most of the villains in a movie, yeah, and most of the villains are Batman villains. Like Harley Quinn is a Batman villain, and she, you know, I mean, she's also important and popular enough to be like to sell on her own, right, basically. But like, she's, or still, you could argue
Joker,
Batman, right?
Young Bruce Wayne's in it, so yeah, I mean,
oh yeah, there you go.
So I think that like these characters are so popular, even if we're not getting, you know, a Moon Knight show, right, and like a you know, an Eternals movie, right, or Shang-Chi, right? These heroes that. Not to disrespect them, like I loved Shang-Chi, but just like, you know, they aren't as intertwined in the public consciousness, right? As obviously, you know, like Spider-Man and Batman are, you know? But I don't think we'll ever go a period of time where there isn't some form of Spider-Man or Batman coming out every once in a while. And even not just in movies, Spider-Man video games. People love Spider-Man video games. And not just like PS4 and the Spider-Man 2 game. There's all different Spider-Man games because people like web swinging. And so I think that because of the way that these characters are and how like ingrained some of them are in the public consciousness, I just think that superheroes can never like truly die.
No, yeah, 100%.
And then eventually it'll be really exciting because they'll enter the public domain and then shit gets wild.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I guess you asked about what was it? So other
superhero media specifically that you're interested in that isn't the MCU and isn't comics, because comics I guess would be a different question. But
yeah, because I already kind of talked to, because like right now I'm kind of interested in the X-Men. You know, at the very least, like you know, X-Men in the animated series and then the live action stuff. Particularly Legion, which my friend liked. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. Let someone else go, because I already talked about that earlier. So
sad. I mean, I've already kind of mentioned it, where I'm going through all of the Batman movies, aside from like the really old ones, just because I'm not really that interested in those.
You mean the Adam West?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there was only one old Batman movie before the Tim Burton one. I think it was just.
No, I'm pretty sure it was tied more than that.
I just looked it up, and I'm pretty sure it was tied to the Adam West.
Yeah, series. I thought it was just the one Adam West movie, which is essentially a TV. It's you know, it's like a TV movie more, because not that it went on TV, but that it was, you know, it was like the movie that went along with the TV series that I'm pretty sure was already a thing.
I'm pretty sure there's like two of them.
Oh,
two Batman movies before the Tim Burton ones. I mean, it's not that many, so I mean, maybe I made it sound like there's more than there were. But
I mean, I didn't even know there was. I thought there was just the one. So
no, I'm pretty sure the second one has like Robin in it.
I think Robin's in the first one, King.
Oh, I okay, hold on, let me look it up, because I know for sure there's like a second one.
Are they both Adam West?
I have no idea. I just wasn't interested. Yeah, okay. The second one's called Batman and Robin, so let's see. This one Adam West.
I'd assume it is. By the way, I'm so excited for you to watch the Nolan trilogy. I was watching some clips from Dark Knight Rises the other day, and it was making me want to watch them because, goddamn, let me tell you,
This one's not Adam West.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know
the
about
second
that.
one.
What is it called? And what was the year it came out?
It's Batman and Robin. Came out in. Oh no, let me go back. I was looking at something completely different now. 1949. So like,
oh my fucking god!
Huh?
What the fuck is this? This
Fucking
looks
black
like
and white.
dog shit.
what are you looking at it now?
Look at this fucking costume.
Oh,
I have
Wait.
to watch this.
Holy shit!
What a
This
cowl.
fucking silent movie. Like, damn.
This is the best. This is the best Batman media. Prove me wrong.
oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, so none of the movies before the Tim Burton ones were the Adam West ones because this one doesn't say Adam West on it or anything. Yeah, the guy playing Batman is Lewis Wilson. So yeah, I just wasn't interested.
Well,
in
I
watching
learned
these
something
two.
today.
Yeah, I learned what my favorite Batman movie is. No, I was just say because goddamn, Bane is a delight.
I can't wait. I can't wait for Nun to watch it just so he'll start making fucking Bane reference.
Oh my
references and
God.
quotes.
If
Like,
the
because
Weeb-
we did that fucking years ago, but Nun it'll be new and fresh
If
to Nun.
the
so.
Weeb Club can bring Bane posting back even just on the Weeb Club, I swear to God I would lose
Worth it.
It would be the greatest 2 months of podcasting of my fucking life. Let me.
Best thing to come
Tell
out of TV,
you
prove
what.
me wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what I thought.
essentially
TV sucks, but Bane
watching-
posting is amazing.
I'm essentially watching all the Batman movies except for the first. Well, not all the Batman movies, all the live action Batman
Yeah.
movies, aside from those first two.
No, yeah, the animated stuff is a whole other beast.
And then I'm gonna watch Superman movies. I'm basically watching a bunch of Batman movies and Superman movies so that I can watch the DCEU. Because I don't know, I feel like it's nicer to have a little bit more of a basis of what Batman and Superman are like in live action before I just dive into the newest stuff. Because
Especially considering
really-
the DCU doesn't introduce Batman as a character. It introduced it, but the Batman you get in the movie is in the DCEU is like an old man. He's already been Batman, so you don't get an origin movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Batman Begins probably just is the best Batman origin movie. So you'll get some good Batman stuff.
Yeah, I just kind of want to restart my idea of what Batman and Superman are by experiencing these live action shows. Because with Batman, I only watched the cartoons because I used to I would have seen some Batman live action movies if not for the fact that I was specifically literally trying to stay away from them because I just thought as a kid I just wasn't interested in live action Batman, and I just kind of assumed the cartoon Batmans were better for some reason.
Well, I am pretty sure that most people's favorite Batman media is the animated series, Batman the Animated Series, and that whole all the DC shows that are all the DC animated stuff that specifically
the DC animated universe.
Well, because I think there's multiple ones, but all the ones that are specifically a part of
the DC animated universe, which is Batman the animated. It's the stuff that spawned from Batman the animated.
Yeah, because then
series.
Superman, the Justice League, Batman and
Beyond,
Friends,
Side of Shock. No, Batman you're thinking of New Adventures of Batman.
Yeah, sorry,
maybe.
The New Adventures of Batman. Yeah.
And then Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock. Technically the Zeta Project, but we'd like to ignore the Zeta Project.
I do want to watch all of that, by the way. I've seen a couple episodes
years ago. but it's really I really like the DC animated universe, and I would also be interested in.
I watched some episodes semi-recent, a couple months ago, and I forgot Batman in that is a goddamn unit. Let me tell you, Bruce Wayne, he's like Bruce Wayne, and he's fucking jacked. Like, my man's is huge. It's like, how do you look at this guy and not just know he's Batman? The guy's like built like a brick shit
because
house.
Everyone in Bruce Timm's art style is either a fucking brick shit house or they're a woman, and they're like really thin and curvy. Like,
it's great. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
At least if they're a hero, if they're a fucking rando, they could be whatever they want. But what about you, Vindy? None's answered, and I've answered. What's some other superhero stuff you're interested in checking out, either upcoming or older? Because you already
I do want to watch. There's some other animated stuff for DC that I want to watch. Like, I want to watch. I really want to watch. Fucking what's it called? Some of the newer DC stuff. Like, I want to watch Young Justice really bad. I'd like to go back and watch like Teen Titans. I want to watch some of the DC live action shows. Like Peacemaker just came out. And I really want to watch that because I loved the Suicide Squad, and I love John Cena, so I'm sure it's Pog.
I was interested in it because I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, this seems fun. And then, like I said, I mean, I could watch it, but I'd rather, wait until I see the Suicide Squad.
So there are those. And then there are actually a couple of superhero games that I want to play that I know, like, about or whatever, that, like, I just... There's some Spider-Man games that I wish weren't as expensive because I would probably just, like, buy them on eBay. Like, the Shattered Dimensions and Web of Shadows, both of those I'd be really interested to try. I want to play some of there's the X-Men Origins Wolverine game that was like rated M that I know people liked a lot. There's just like a couple like random superhero games that I think would probably be like really interesting to play because I think like there's the Hulk Ultimate Destruction on like GameCube that I know people like a lot that I've never played. Because I had a few superhero games I played as like a kid. Like I remember having so, like, you guys know, like, the original Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, right?
Yes.
The team that made those, before they made those, made like, these X-Men games, like X-Men Legends, where it's the exact same gameplay. It's just only the X-Men. Yeah. I had that, and me and my brother played that a lot. We had the movie tie-in game for the Hulk movie, not the MCU one, but the other one.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Played the fuck out of that game. And then we had all the Raimi games. And so there's some superhero games that I want to try because I did really like going through. I mean, I only played 2 of them, but I do want to get back to Arkham Knight eventually. But like playing the Batman games was fun. I really want to replay PS4 Spider-Man and then play Miles, but I want to wait till I get a PS5 so I can play it in 60 FPS because that'll make it so fucking. And it's so sad because they keep adding suits to Spider-Man PS4, or technically they only add it to the PS5 version. So, like, I want to use, like, the No Way Home suits or, like, some of the other really silly suits that they've added. But you specifically, like, need a PS5 in the PS5 version. So I kind of just have to wait.
Tragic.
Some other, like, superhero stuff that I want to go through is I want to watch the Harley Quinn show because...
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I did watch the first 2 or 3 episodes a long time ago, but I just didn't continue because it was just like something I threw on.
Is that show
I liked it, but I just
Crafts? Sorry to interrupt you, but is that show the one where the clip of Joker saying women aren't funny and then shooting a guy is from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Best show of all time, 10 out of 10.
Such a good clip. Like I rewatched it a little while ago, and just the
funny.
Just the way afterwards, like the grunt is like, "No, she's right behind you," and he's just like, "Oh, hey, Harley," like. It's just like it's good, and there's the show does some cool things, The
only other thing I can think of off the top of my head that I need to still see is Invincible. I haven't.
I was gonna bring that up, because
it's good.
not just because like it was really good, but also because like season 2 win.
I saw recently that Steven Yeun, the guy who voices Invincible, said that they are beginning production, or production is like starting.
I've
for
also heard
season 2.
It's going to be longer. I guess the season is going to be longer than 8 episodes. So
I also saw that the guy who wrote the comic and is apparently very closely tied with the making of the show, Robert Kirkman or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I did hear that the first season, like, it used stuff from later in the comic book series than the material that was adapted. Basically,
Yeah, it jumped around. And
that's
stuff.
interesting.
But,
yeah, that's interesting. Because I didn't notice any weird seams or anything. It seemed like really solidly put together.
I agree.
Basically. So.
But
yeah.
he said essentially that the next season's gonna be wild. Like, and I know I have a friend who bought all the omnibuses and read them all and said that like the upcoming shit is insane. So I'm really excited for the next season of the next 2 seasons of Invincible, because technically season 3 was also announced. You know what else both of you guys should watch that's also on Amazon and is also very good is The Boys.
You did. How long is it again? 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
Or is it long? Okay.
I actually like it a lot. I think it's like super sick. And I think that there's stuff that y'all would really like in it. And it is a little edgy, but I don't think it's as edgy as people make it seem, because it's just super good and super like interesting.
I've heard the comic is really edgy, and not in a good way, I guess, where it sounds like, just the fact that you speak positively of The Boys, it's it seems like it's better than the comic, saying that as someone who's touched neither. I just know the comic isn't very well liked.
Yeah, I definitely recommend the show though. I think that there's a lot of interesting things that the show has in it that like really, I liked the show a lot, and I think y'all would like it.
And I guess to mention something that I've been keeping up with, that you've already brought up, Vindy, is Young Justice, which I've been keeping up with since for over a decade. But I did rewatch the show a few years ago. And I think before season 3, because there was the show was canceled after season 2, but later that it did get renewed.
Yeah, because now it's like an HBO Max original, right?
Yeah, no, that's starting for the 3rd season, and so it's halfway through season 4 right now. There's a little hiatus between the 2 halves, I guess, because season 4 has been really solid and good, and it's doing some cool stuff with the the DC universe and its characters, and no connection to any other properties basically, so or animated properties, which because like there's a whole there's multiple continuities in the animated stuff, so Young Justice it's a solid show, and I would definitely recommend it. But yeah, I guess I brought it because I am interested in seeing the second half of the season. I gotta wait a little bit, but
yeah.
So I guess to finish up, because we've been kind of avoiding the actual comics, because I believe not very many of us has read a whole lot. So I guess
I wanted to end it with asking about.
Okay.
I don't know what your question is, but I assume it's very similar to mine. So
I was gonna ask basically what characters and or runs are you interested in reading?
Did you take the words out of my mouth, sir? I literally had the entire time to end it with asking what characters or specific comic runs are you super interested in, or do you even just care a lot about, even if you don't,
Sad.
I'm in your head.
That's not a good thing. All right, Nun, you go first. Unless you don't think you can, since you didn't have the question prepped already. I assume Crafts and I have probably thought about our answers more than.
I mean, I already have an answer.
Oh, okay, then go.
So, I mean, I still want to try and finish the original run of Spider-Man, not the entire thing, because it's fucking long as shit, and, it changes, obviously Stan Lee stops writing it at some point, and some other people fucking write it, and it fucking does all this shit, but, I at least want to finish up till the point that Stan Lee leaves, Spider-Man, probably. Unless there's unless I really just cannot get into it, then maybe I'd find an earlier stopping point, because there are multiple points where I guess it feels conclusive-ish that I could just stop, but I do want to read a significant amount of that, just because I really like Spider-Man. It's my favorite hero, so it's I'd like to actually have a good amount of his first series as something that I've read, and it is relevant to things that I've been researching and stuff, because
I mean, you read the Spider-Man manga, so it's you're really you have a notable interest in Spider-Man media. There's what other fucking reason you're gonna pick up the Spider-Man manga?
Yeah. So I do want to finish a good amount of that. I also want to read Batman comics. for Batman, but also for like Dick Grayson and I know there was like a third. Oh, Booster Gold. I want to read comics that have Booster Gold in them. So like, you know, I mean, I guess it would just be like, you know, DC stuff in general that builds up to like Justice League type shit. Because I don't know how many like, I don't even know if Booster Gold has like solo runs or anything. I haven't really looked into that. I just know I really like that one DC Unlimited episode. Well, Justice League Unlimited. I'm sorry, the one Booster Gold episode. That's like literally all I know about him.
It's great.
It was a really good episode.
I understand.
Yeah, I'll be very sad if like he doesn't immediately live up to the idea I have in my head about him. 'Cause it's like it's based on one episode, so it's like he could be very different. Like there could be like terrible runs of him, or like I don't know. It's very scary to actually get into his stuff.
Because, yeah, I don't know. In my mind, I guess I think it's Justice League America is a run where he's, like, part of a team. But, like, I know he's really good friends with the Blue Beetle, Ted Kord. And so, like, that's another major part of his character that isn't in any adapted work that I know of. I don't even think maybe it comes up somewhere in Brave and the Bold, but I've only seen the first season. Batman, Brave and the Bold. But, I guess to bring up some comics that I'm interested in, for non-Marvel DC stuff like Hellboy, I remember liking the movies when I was younger and they came out. So, you know, I'm kind of interested in checking out the comics one day. Sandman's CC, never mind. But still, I don't know, it sounds interesting and it's pretty notable. And the big one I think is Hulk, just because like I've read Immortal Hulk because it was recommended to me, and it was really fucking good. And it's this big like culmination of like all this kind, like it references lots of Hulk characters and mythos and lore and stuff, and goes back like I didn't even know that in the original Hulk comics he didn't change based on angry. It was more of a Jekyll Hyde thing where he changed based on day or night, and that's kind of like a big point through especially the early stuff in the Immortal Hulk. So like I've just had this idea of going back through the Hulk basically through many of his comics, and you know, I've said before that he's like the hero I'm the most interested in, and probably one of my favorites, just because he's really like interesting.
Sad.
Vindy Vondo?
Yes, that is actually my name. How'd you know? I would say that, okay, first of all, I'm gonna go ahead and say it because it's never gonna happen. I'm never even gonna start it because I know that I want to too bad to ever let myself start, because I would just give up and it would make me sad. I would actually love to read all of the Amazing Spider-Man. I think it would never happen because it's so long, and comics are so... Every time I try to read a comic, it's like, oh my god, it takes me a billion years to read one issue, and then I just start reading manga instead.
Yeah. That shit's so fucking wordy, dude. Holy shit. Holy fuck.
And I've also like manga is like literally like based on the way it's paneled, made to be like quick to read, based on just how it has to be formatted due to the language and the little weird bits about that. Versus comics are wordy. They come out slower, so they kind of are made to be denser, so that they're more justified for the money.
But then there's still only 20 pages. So then like. What's also weird is, like, because, you don't get as much, like, in comics, right? You don't get, like, generally, you don't get, like, the action scenes, right? That you get in, like, you get in manga, where you can have, like, a couple chapters of just some fighting. You don't get that in comics. Which isn't a bad thing. It's just different, but it does make it a lot slower to read.
Coming from manga and getting into comics, it is, like, we're used to these graphic novel type formats, but it's so different that you're kind of,
which is part of why I think it's like which is part of why I like Scott Pilgrim so much, because I don't know if y'all have read it, but like
I've heard of it, and from what I've heard, it is more
the artist talked about how manga were a lot of influences, and like the original version of it is in when you get the volumes, especially if you don't get the colored ones, it's in black and white, which it was made to be in, and there are jokes that were made to be in black and white. And then it's little 200-page books that read very much like manga. It just reads left to right. So it was super easy for me to read Scott Pilgrim, and I fucking love it. And it's like, I wish that, I do wish that comics are easier to read, because if I could read Amazing Spider-Man at the same pace, and there was an app like the manga apps for it, which I know wouldn't exist because it's America, so it's way easier for the copyright holders to see it and take it down. I would probably try to read all of the Amazing Spider-Man and would probably do it, right? But it's because it's so, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, it's interesting how, like, a 20-chapter manga? Nothing. A 20-issue comic?
Not happening.
Like, it is, like you think, like, it's about the same amount of pages, but, yeah, just based on the density and the reading time, it is longer. Like, and of course, yeah, 20 issues still isn't a lot, but it's definitely not nothing.
Right.
Like, it's almost comparable to, I'd say it's more comparable to monthly chapters than it is weekly chapters, basically. Even though it's, again, same similar page count as the weeklies, so.
Yeah. Okay, let me think, because there are some others. There's the one Thor run that I started reading that I do want to read more of, because I'm interested in Thor. Batman is a character I'm really interested in. Nightwing's a character I'm really interested in. I've read a little bit of Spider-Man 2099. I want to read more of that because I really like what I read of it. I like Miguel as a character. I think he's interesting. How, like, what makes the things that make him different from, like, Peter Parker. I think he's really cool, and I like the 2099 world a lot. There's also, like, Ultimate Spider-Man. I read, like, a while ago, like years ago, I read like 50 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man. I really liked it. So I'd like to actually get back to that, but just restart it and read that. There's a bunch of comic stuff. I always hear, like, other new things with comics where it's like, oh, I want to read that, you know? But the problem is just I never will. And honestly, part of it is actually that I don't have, like, there isn't an app that I can download on my phone that'll pirate comics for me that I can just fucking scroll, right? I, like, have to go to a website, and then you're tapping, and you gotta click away ads, and it's like a whole dog shit terrible system, and you know what I mean? It pisses me off. I'm not gonna go buy comics. I'm not fucking, Scrooge McDuck over here. $800 billion.
Sad. I mean, the only comics I would think that off the top of my head that I would possibly buy is the current Sonic comic and the Adventure Time comic. I have some of those. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So that about covers it for the topic, I think?
Yeah. Orient.
How'd you guys feel about it?
I liked this episode more than the last one.
So did I. I'm glad it wasn't just me, because, like, maybe I was in a bad mood, or I was just like, ew, this adaptation doesn't look very good compared to the manga, and I just wasn't feeling it. But I like this episode more.
I like Kojiro a lot.
Yeah.
I did not like the episode more, actually.
Oh.
Unfortunate.
Crying for you.
Sad.
Yeah. Did you not? I don't know. I liked Kojiro a lot, and I liked the whole thing with the, your sword is your pride, so he, like, can't let go of it, right? And it's, like, almost like when he really comes to terms with the fact that he can't let go is when he, like, actually is, like, forced to. And then fucking Hiro Musashi came in and saved it. I thought one thing that was really interesting was seeing, because, like, they keep talking about forming this Bushi band, right? But I guess I had no idea how many people were in a typical one, right? Like, I almost assumed that, like, the average one is, like, for some reason I thought of it as like band, like an actual band. So I was like, oh yeah,
like Seven Samurai kind of thing, right? Like a handful of dudes.
Well, yeah. So I was like, yeah, like probably like 3 to 5, maybe, yeah, like 7 at most. No, these bands are like 800 dudes. It's like, oh my god, they're massive.
There's a whole, like, fucking building moving or something, like, okay, yeah, and they all have fucking motorcycles, like, a bunch of flying samurai with non-motorcycles just come in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I definitely enjoyed this episode quite a bit more than, I guess, the previous one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing I kind of picked up on that I hadn't before was, or just maybe I'm focusing on it more now watching it than I was reading. I don't usually keep notes with stuff. I just keep up with weekly, or manga at least, because I'm reading a shitload of manga. That's a pain in the fucking ass. I don't know. Well, I guess one thing I thought was interesting about Kojiro specifically is because, like, when I think about shonen stuff a lot, and I think of, like, how they typically handle the conformity idea, is that, conforming to some, corruption or, terrible, like, power system, basically, of ruling power, rather, where, like, usually the characters who, like Naruto, he doesn't conform, he tries to keep his individuality, right? So he resists that, where Kojiro did, but he kind of has gotten, like, so beaten down by that over the years that, like when he was talking to Musashi early in the episode, he was mentioning how, like, he doesn't even see, like, what's so great about being a bushi or a sword, because, like, to him it's just been this mark of shame that even though, he's kept it, he's been like, discriminated against for it for so long that, his spirit is a bit, broken by that, which of course, he gets some of that back through the episode where Musashi did conform, but because he always had his eyes set on, his dream, that even though he conformed, he still like found a way to keep his individuality while working within, like with his pickaxe and stuff. And, so he was able to keep that sort of hopeful, optimism and spirit and help Kojiro get the sword back. And I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I also like the way that like the conformity and the society and shit ties in with Musashi and like the mining stuff, right? How like he was a good miner and worked really hard at mining because mining was how he
was framing it as, or is how he would get physically stronger to better wield.
Yeah, sword, right? And then he was able to use mining to fight the demon and the Kishin, and he fucking used it to like kick to like get into his belly to get Kojiro's sword. So I thought that was like also a super interesting use of like those ideas.
Like this was a giant ass monster and he disabled it, for a good few minutes at least, right? Like he didn't defeat it like he thought he did, but he still knocked it down, and that's something.
Nice motorcycle guy.
What?
I didn't hear motorcycle guy.
Unless that was not a motorcycle or something.
Who?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I didn't think I made any noise.
I didn't hear a motorcycle guy.
I definitely heard something drive by or something like that. Maybe it wasn't a motorcycle. Though.
Motorcycle guy would not leave us wondering if it was him. Motorcycle guy would make it so we know it's him.
I mean, you'd think he'd come in during Orient, which is the most motorcycle guy show we've watched on the show.
That is true.
All right. If you don't have anything to say, none, you can do your weekly roundup thing.
I mean, yeah, I just wasn't added into the episode. I thought like the idea of him not letting go of his sword was neat, and like the fact that he thought he didn't care, but he really did care. Like he essentially, he didn't really realize his own feelings. Like I thought that was like good, but it's also like it didn't really make me feel anything when I was watching it. So I don't know. I don't think it's bad that it wasn't built up to, but it happened so early on right now to where it's like I was like, I didn't really feel much from seeing the flashbacks and all that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm just looking forward to like as the series progresses.
I was thinking about it because I compared it to Plunder and how like it's a series I've already read. So like with Plunder, I was waiting for a certain reveal. And I realized like there is actually one like really funny moment that I'm pretty sure will get adapted that I'm looking forward to. Yeah, there's at least one. It's not a big plot thing. It's just like there's something I'm looking forward to see you guys see in Orient at least. But mostly it's just like there's no reason to watch this except that it was voted on. So like the manga exists, right? It's one of those cases. But yeah. I don't know. I'm still not, and it's fine so far. But yeah.
Sad.
Mm-hmm. None. It's still your turn.
I know. I just didn't want to go.
You can't just sit here in silence.
Can we have us sit here in silence for our fallen brothers?
Start talking.
Oh my god, you're so mean to everyone.
The fallen brothers.
First, you started off the episode saying that you didn't care about the comments.
That literally was you who said that. Stop! Hey, stop wasting time. I want to fucking do the thing we're doing after and get it started. What's your weekly roundup thing, senor?
Oh, I mean, I finished the Devilman OVAs, Devilman the Birth, and Devilman the Demon Bird. I don't remember what year they came out in, so...
All I know is that you said that you liked them more than both the manga and Crybaby, and I've only read the manga, and it was fine. So,
I still haven't seen Crybaby either, Crafts.
I have no interest in Crybaby.
Me neither. I've read the manga, it's fine, but I'm so glad I have a brethren. Because everyone was talking... Because I read the manga like right when Crybaby came out, and everyone was talking about Devilman. And I was like, yeah, it's, someday I'll watch Crybaby, but I still haven't seen it, and I really don't care to. Like, there's no what
again, like going back to the Marvel discussion, like popular thing. Well, no one's talking about it now. 4 years later, I don't really fucking care. Like, you know. Anyway, go ahead, Ned. Sorry. I do care about hearing about your thoughts on Devilman.
So Crafts and I were having a bonding moment.
Sad. I don't know. I just thought that the Devilman OVA actually endeared me more to Rio and Akira. And I just thought it just straight up did a lot of moments better. In particular, like, you know, before they actually go into the like the place that Rio gathered up all the people so that they could party. They had like a whole like speech about how like, they basically kind of saying like, oh, we're in this together. They're kind of willing to do whatever it takes. And like, I don't know, the speech like pulled me in a lot more. Like, I thought the dialogue was like better than what the manga did. I also felt like Rio was like, I felt like it made Rio's involvement in like the initial parts of Devilman like more pronounced, I guess. Cause like there's just one shot in the manga where he shoots what the fuck is her name? Sirene, like the bird.
The manga,
but it just
when
like
I read
happens.
it, was translated as Siren. You could just say Siren or something. That just makes the most sense to me. But go ahead.
It just like there's just this one panel where he just like shoots the bird and that's it. He's just kind of like on the like he's like somewhere on the ground-ish area, but in like the OVA, he was on this tall fucking building in the city, and it had this whole like shot where it came down and it like spun with him with the gun, and he was wearing a cape, like he was wearing his jacket as like a cape. He had bandages on and he shot the bird. It was so cool. Where in the manga it's like looks kind of silly, to be honest. Like his face, like a lot of Rio's faces in the manga just look kind of silly. And I don't know, I just can't really get behind him, but in like the OVA, I really like him. I also, I think the OVA, like, it kind of does a better job with like Akira's personality after he turns into Devilman. I don't think it does like the most like ideal job, because it's like, you know, in the manga I think he's like completely different. In this OVA he's definitely different, but like I do think there's like a little more of him in there, and in Crybaby, after he turns, there's a lot of him in there still. Like he's like very much similar to how he was before, and like that is the one thing I did like about Crybaby. Like I like that he kept more of his original personality, because like him becoming like a completely different character in the manga is like not something I really liked. Like I do think it should have impact on his personality in some way, but like I just think in the manga it was like I don't think he's like the same character. But in this there's like I wouldn't say there's a balance here, but it's like it does more than the manga does in terms of like his actual personality still being there, so I like appreciate that. I also thought like the music was really great.
That's like, where the Devilman no Uta track comes from, right? Or is that from a different Devilman thing? Because I know they used that in Devilman Crybaby, and it's like a remix of the older one or something. Maybe I don't really know. I didn't actually like look into the soundtrack. I just know it was really good. Maybe I'm completely wrong, because I've never watched anything Devilman, so ignore me.
And I think like this OVA, I don't know, it made me like somewhat more interested in the idea of watching or reading more Devilman stuff, because I think other takes on the characters could be cool. Because like I don't know, like I think if these two OVAs can make me actually like invested in Akira and Rio, I'd be curious on what other things could do with them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they were really good. It's not a completed OVA series. It just like stops about like 2 volumes in or something.
That was going to be one of my questions, is how much did it adapt?
The demon bird is the last one, so it's just the fucking Siren, and I thought that was like deeper into the manga, but like it's not. Like when I actually checked, it was like just 2 volumes out of like 5, so they basically did a volume per OVA, so they would have actually had like a lot more to go, unless they like really sped things up and like pushed some things together. And I think that's like possible. Like, I don't think they would have needed like 5 OVAs, but like they would probably needed like at least 4. There is like another OVA that exists that like it's like technically kind of connected to these OVAs, but it came out much later. It's by different studios, different voice actors. It's and it also doesn't like this. If it continued, it would have adapted like the actual original manga's ending, but that one, it instead uses these as like the beginning of Devilman and all that stuff. But that one decides to adapt like a different manga that has an alternate ending to the original manga. So it's like
it wouldn't be an adaptation of the Devilman manga that you've read, basically.
Yeah, so I didn't want to watch that because I didn't read the manga of that, so I didn't want to just like see it, you know. But I mean, yeah, it was. I had fun. I liked it.
So, my first question was going to be how much did it adapt, which you already answered. My second question is of like, how would you rank your in order of preference, like the Devilman stuff you consumed?
Well, these OVAs, the manga, and then Crybaby way below because I just don't like Crybaby.
Okay.
Like the thing I mentioned, like what it did with Akira is like the only thing that like is a really like genuine compliment that I would give to the show that I really liked. But there's a lot of other things I don't like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another reason to not be interested in Crybaby. My friend Nunmanji doesn't like it.
I mean, hey, maybe you'd be into the part where like he literally fucks the bird lady in the air for some reason.
Okay, now I'm interested in Crybaby.
I knew about like the strong lady who like kills someone and like
Whoa! Strong
like,
lady.
Yeah, and then she does some things with the corpse that or I think I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But she fucks.
I'd be curious on what like other people would think about it if they watched it, but I really did not like it. Yeah.
Vindy's
you can
turn?
go, Vindy.
All right, Vindy Vondo, watched all of the seasons of South Park that I had not seen, and all of the COVID specials, where I had already seen the pandemic special and the vaccination special, but I watched the 2 post-COVID ones. But before that, I decided like I wanted to watch the like 4 seasons that I hadn't seen of the show, and I did start by like watching like the 2 seasons I had seen, like the 2 most recent seasons I had seen, just so I could get like a good barometer of the show before it got to the stuff that people really stopped liking, I guess.
The new stuff.
Yeah, which I started one season before PC Principal showed up, because the last season I watched was the first season that had PC Principal. And so then after watching those 2 seasons and then all the new ones, I think South Park still got it. I think it's still really good. Okay, so it's funny because I talked to Nun about this after recording last week, and I mentioned to you then, right, that I still think the show is like Randy is not the main character. It's still very much the boys. The most recent season, that's not true. Like the most recent full TV season, that's not true. But people make it sound like it's a lot more than just the 10 episodes it is. And even then, it's actually not 10 episodes that are mainly about Randy. The season was very clearly doing something different, where they were giving like a bunch of different characters. Like there's an episode where Kyle's mom is like the main character. There's an episode where Scott Malkinson, who's the kid with diabetes, is the main character. And even in all the Randy episodes, there's always a B plot that involves at least one of the boys as like the main character of the B plot. And everything before that, the boys are always, at least half as important as, or just as important as Randy is. So it's only that newest season, which I don't think is bad, because I think the season is very clearly doing something with like the Integrity Farm stuff. Like it's using it in certain ways to make certain points about things. So I don't think it's necessarily, I don't think that like it's bad or like anything, because also the show, I don't think ever made it feel like this is the direction the show's going in forever. Because it has its own like opening and stuff that's like the Integrity Farms opening, and like then immediately after that we got the COVID specials where the boys are the main characters in all of those. So and I think Randy's been getting more prominent in South Park for probably close to like 10 years now, right? Where at first it was like he was nothing, and then it was like there were a couple episodes a season that involved him. And then like for a while now, it just had been, he is in every episode the same way Cartman's in every episode, right? Or Stan's in every episode. So I don't think it's like that aspect of it specifically. I really don't think is a problem at all. I think it honestly is good. Like it's whatever, I guess. Like I don't know how to explain that other than just to say it like that. But there was some stuff in the seasons I watched that I thought was like actually so fucking funny. And there were some like just really good super standout episodes in what I watched. And I guess probably the biggest hot take I have about all of it is just actually that I think PC Principal's like really fucking funny and really good. And I think that like the show is actually better with him in it. Because like there's this whole aspect of PC Principal that shows up in like the first season he's in, where he's kind of just like they're making fun of the idea that like all of the these college PC bros are just doing it to get laid. That's like all they actually care about is getting laid, and that's the whole reason they do it. And so that's really funny. And then there's like this whole thing where he has a PC Principal has a relationship. Like he brings on this vice principal called Strong Woman to show that like women can be strong too, guys. It just, I don't know. I think a lot of the things that the show did had me I was super into it. Like I was watching it. I had a good time. I think that there are episodes in these recent seasons I saw that are honestly just as good as episodes in the previous seasons. So yeah, I think South Park still got it. And then to talk about the COVID specials, they're really good. And especially like the 2 post-COVID ones are like super fucking good. The ones where like it's like in the future, and so it's like old aged up, like all the boys are aged up, are like super super fucking good and like actually like super fire. And there's a lot of things that they do that I think are great. I guess I don't know. It's hard to explain, but like I think that there's a lot of stuff that South Park did that in those episodes that were really good, and so I'm really excited for. I guess either because I don't know if they're just gonna keep doing these specials, or if they'll actually do like another full season of the show. I wouldn't mind either way. But I'm really curious to see what they do with it, because I mean, I still think that the two, like Matt Stone and Trey Parker are probably two of like the funniest people to ever live, especially as a duo. And I think they're insanely talented. So I don't think the show's really dropped that much in quality.
Neat.
Yeah.
Sad.
What's sad about that?
Sad.
Okay.
I've seen 5 seasons of the show. So yeah.
Okay, well that
is sad. Especially because like, let me see when, because now I'm gonna look, because I was looking. Let me see, when would I say? Because I don't even think it's in episode 5. Well, maybe. No, I want to see when I think the show has its first like god tier episode. It might be A Ladder to Heaven. Give me 1 second. I'm just going through the seasons. I'll know when I see it. Probably, yeah, like around there. Like, I think like season like 7 is really when South Park starts like giga slapping, and then just goes like ridiculously good. I would actually say up till now. Like, I don't think like it had like its moment where like, oh yeah, it peaked here and then dropped. Because I'm looking through, and every single season, I'm seeing like 3 or 4 like episodes where it's like, yeah, this episode is just fucking some of the best television I've ever seen. And yeah, just looking through, it's like every season there are just episodes that are just so fucking good.
I see.
So I definitely think people should
get
watch
back to it one day.
I do think, here's the funniest thing about South Park when I was watching it. There's an entire episode before COVID. It's a 2019 episode. Okay? So it's literally, it all takes place before COVID even was a thing, right? That's about anti-vaxxers. Like, there's literally an entire episode about vaccines and anti-vaxxers. And then COVID happened and now they're an even bigger topic. So I thought that was just like watching it now, just seeing that I was like, oh my fucking God. Are you sure this episode wasn't made after COVID? Because like the episode, like, oh my God, it's so funny. Because the entire point is like Cartman is scared to get shot. So anytime he's about to get a shot, he starts running around squealing like a pig. So then his mom decides like that he's going to be a conscientious objector to getting shot. So he doesn't have to get him for school because, you know, they scare Cartman. But then, like, everyone in the town's like, no, he needs to get his shots. So they call a pig wrangler, and then they like, hog wrangle Cartman to try to give him his shots. It's good. It's a funny episode. And just the fact that there was, like, this anti-vax episode, and then, like, now with, like, COVID and everything. Because then, obviously, they parodied, you know, anti-vaxxers and everything. So, yeah. Poggers.
Sad.
So, I actually don't have anything else I've experienced this year. To talk about yet, because I'm going through a bunch of stuff in progress. Like I could talk about Loki, but you guys should just fucking watch it. Is what needs to fucking happen.
Did y'all finish it?
We finished. Loki's done, but I mean, you say y'all. It was like me and Blue Knight in the call. Like there was nobody else who finished Loki with us. So everyone, you know. So
did you like it?
Loki's my favorite Disney Plus show.
Okay. Did you cry?
And like. No, but it was just like really hitting a lot of stuff that like specifically interests me. Where even though like WandaVision is like right there, like don't get me wrong, because WandaVision did make me cry, but you know I just happen to like Loki a little bit. They're roughly on par with each other, and like again, and like I said this, but it's like the fact that both of them are going to be relevant in Doctor Strange, like that's why earlier I was like, give it to me, Marvel, I need it now. I actually don't remember the last time I was as like interested in a movie release.
Spider-Man.
Actually, I don't think so.
Oh my God, this guy.
And now, don't get me wrong, I love Spider-Man, but I wasn't like sitting here like, oh boy, yay, like let's go. Like I don't know, I'm glad I wasn't, because like, or maybe not glad it wasn't, but it paid off. It's still like one of my favorite Marvel movies, but like I don't know. I'm just saying, Doctor Strange is gonna disappoint me because I'm so excited for it. It's just gonna be like an 8, and I'm gonna be like, oh.
Sad.
I agree.
Anyway, so last year, I mean, I'm taking a bit of I'm still doing my favorites games replay. I'm just not doing, because I guess I started both Metroid and Zelda games. But I'm gonna talk about Metroid Prime and Metroid Prime 2. Because I have not played. The next ones I still have to play are Metroid Prime 3 Corruption.
Other M and then Dread.
Other M.
Dread. Oh no, I said like
and then Dread, right? But anyway, so Metroid Prime, great fucking game. Like I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Like it was at the point where like I was like done and I was doing like I played a little bit and I was doing like my other things like my dailies, my seasonals and stuff, and I'm just thinking like I want to play more Metroid Prime. You know, I did. It took me under 10 hours to beat it. And I just like, especially coming into it after playing the 2D Metroid games that came out before it, or, you know, or remakes in some cases, like, I mean, actually, like, 2 of the games I played came out after Metroid Prime, technically, but, like, I don't know, Metroid Prime just does such a fucking good job at translating the Metroid formula into 3D, and, like, it does some really cool things, and even in some ways that I think are just, like, more interesting than the 2D games, and to the point that I would say, like, probably the most important, like, aspect to the Metroid Prime games is the scan visor, which, like, one, I think just really, like, it's just neat to see, like, and it's just a little, like, atmospheric detail, but, have you played Metroid Prime, Vindy?
I played the fuck out of Metroid Prime as a kid, but not since I was a kid.
Did you beat it?
No, I probably got, like, 3/4 of the way through as a kid.
Okay, gotcha. Because you probably remembered like the little details where like the visor like will get shit on it based on what you do or what area you're in. Like you'll get steam on your visor, or you get rain, or enemies' blood, and like I just think like that's cool as a detail.
Yeah, the game does a lot of immersive stuff to really make you feel like you're seeing what Samus sees. The only thing I can think of that's even similar to it is in some Halo games where you can like see like Master Chief's helmet in like the single player, you know what I mean? And you can see like the outlines of his helmet. That's like the only thing I can think of that's even close to like
right. Or like sometimes you'll get hit by an attacker, or like and you'll see like Samus's face like reflected against the visor from the other side or from inside, basically. Like, it's just like that, which I think is just a really cool detail that also is another reason that I focus on the scan visor, because it's like, I would say, not fucking motorcycle guy. That like the scan visor, I would say it's like, you know, the most important way you interact in the world, in a sense. Maybe not the most important, because I do think your beam cannon is pretty important, but I think the scan visor is the most like unique way that you interact with the world in the Metroid Prime games. Because you scan things and you get like little lore details about like the planet, and like there's the Chozo these transcripts from the Chozo that explain what the fuck's been going on, or these space pirate logs where they talk about their experiments and the shit they're doing on the planet. Or you'll just learn all these little details about this where you're exploring, basically, which I think fleshes out Talon 4 a lot compared to the other planets and settings you play in the Metroid games. You know, or like, and how it also uses like, so like in the 2D Metroid games, like, you know, you you use a morph ball bomb on a block, and it tells you what kind, like, oh, you need the speed booster to break through this, or you need a missile to break through this. How Metroid Prime does it is like, you can scan certain materials of breakable like things, and it'll tell you what it's made of, like densium or byzantium or whatever, or sandstone, and then like eventually you'll find out what breaks that. So like sandstone can be broken by missiles in Metroid Prime, and I think densium and byzantium are both like they're both breakable by power bomb blocks. Power bombs. It just depends on what game, you know, what Metroid Prime or Metroid Prime 2. So like, you know, you do that, you remember what it's made of, and then later on when you find out what breaks it. So I just think that's a really cool way to translate that mechanic from the 2D games that you can't do that just like 1-to-1 in a 3D game where it's just like, oh, you shoot a part of the wall and it just turns into like a big missile symbol. Like, that just wouldn't work, especially going, like, again, you mentioned immersion, like trying to put you into Samus's shoes and see the world through her eyes, right? Like, that just wouldn't function, so they do it in a really cool way. And I just like I like the music. Yeah, I just like the atmosphere of like moving around. Like compared to the 2D games, like one example I was thinking of is like, if an enemy is behind you in the 2D games, it really doesn't matter compared to like them being in front of you, because like you're looking at it from a third person side perspective. But in the 3D games, like, there were parts where, like, even though I was really strong and, like, towards the end of the game, like, hearing an enemy behind me just from, like, the general sound design, like, as I was, like, walking away, even though I know it couldn't meaningfully hurt me, there's still, like, a level of, like, maybe not anxiety, but, like, just, like, like, there's an enemy making noises and growling and screeching behind me, and I'm, like, just getting away from it. Like, there's that level of atmosphere there just from, like, the sound design, and just, like, it's just... I don't know, I like just walking around the game, and then when you get more upgrades, it gets a little easier to get around and shit. Like, I'm honestly, part of me wishes I should have just, like, gone back at 100% of the game just to have, more of an excuse to go around and just, you know, because, like, I do like how even in both Metroid Prime games, there's literally a part of the game where you're supposed to go around and get a bunch of collectibles, and this is after you get all the upgrades, and they're basically like saying, hey, if you want 100% the game, do it now, because you're about to get to the final
Yeah, there's
part,
like a time. The
know.
game almost gives you a time to, like, decide your completion, which is cool.
Exactly. Right, which, yeah, no, and I do think that's really cool from a design sense. You know, and the only problem I have with the game is that, I mean, the platforming is a little iffy, and there's one room in particular that I was definitely stuck on for way too long, because I was being a little impatient with the platforming, and I also didn't need to be there, so I remember it and was frustrated by it because I was, like, wasting my time in that room. I think maybe I got a missile expansion, but, like, I went through that room like half a dozen other times anyway, later, because you know, I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was supposed to go back and forth later or whatever. And also the combat is kind of not good. Which I think it's fine, because I'd still say Metroid Prime is it's one of my favorite games, or it's like up there basically. But like the reason the combat doesn't bother me is because it is like really simple and easy for like 85% of the game, and then it kind of gets annoying in the last section, basically the phase-on mines, because the encounters, you can't just walk through them at the strength level you're at, because like early in the game they're all like not challenging per se, but they give you pause. Until you get strong enough that they don't give you pause anymore, because you have like the super missiles and plasma beam and stuff, and you're fucking powerful. But even the phase-on mines, they're still kind of like, you know, they take a bit of time, like a multiple super missiles even for just like one enemy or whatever. And there's a lot of enemies that are immune to certain beam types and shit. which I thought made the phase on mines more of a chore because I was going back and forth through them, and like, well, every time I go through a room, all the enemies have respawned, and they're strong. They're just as strong and annoying to get through. So like, but it was mostly in like the late game. Like that really wasn't a problem in like any other area of the game, so it doesn't bother me super much. But yeah, Metroid Prime, really good fucking game. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is currently my least favorite Metroid game in my play/replay. Which of course, again, it's not a comprehensive. It only includes Metroid Prime Zero Mission, Metroid Prime, Metroid Fusion, Super Metroid, and another Metroid 2 remake. So, and like you think, oh, it's a sequel to Metroid Prime, so it's just the original and more. And I guess it's like, it's one of those cases where the content that's added isn't necessarily like I like it more. Like I mentioned, I like the soundtrack in Metroid Prime. Like I'm thinking back and I'm like, did that game, like, no, that game must have had some tracks that I liked, but like, I don't know, thinking back, I just, like especially for the Dark World, because like how Metroid Prime 2 Echoes works is that there's you go to this planet Aether, and it got hit by a fucking meteor, and it literally like split into a light world and a dark world, and there's been this war going on between the Luminoths and the light and the Ing and the dark, and they're both like fighting for, to take the energy from the other world so that their version of the world can be, the one that goes on to exist. And I don't like to think about the war narrative that much because, one thing that they establish is that, like, the Luminoths, like, you scan some bodies and it's like, oh, this one's younger because, like, they had to make children, or this one's older, like, they were making elderly and children or families fight because they were literally, like, being pushed to the brink. So it's sad, and it sucks for them. Where the Ing are just kind of, like, really evil and bad, and at the beginning of the game, the one NPC in any of the Metroid games I've played, basically, he's like, oh yeah, if the Ing destroy us, they might go on to conquer the rest of the galaxy, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know, that's why I don't want to think about the war narrative, because it's just like, there's these two races put into a battle that neither of them started, forced to survive, and the Ing aren't given anything sympathetic or whatever.
Manufactured race war. Sounds just like America.
I mean, yeah, they're basically.
I'm the one who manufactured it.
Like, I guess, like, that's, like, because there's reason to think that the Ing are intelligent. Like, they're not mindless beasts. Like, they're able to create and produce things. But, like, compared to this, like, you get space pirate logs, even in Metroid Prime 2, but you don't get anything about the Ing. Like, they have, like, no characterization. They're just kind of, like, the bad guy, I guess, which is, again, why I didn't want to think about it, because, like, I could frame it as, like, they didn't ask to be born and fight in this war. Like, they're just better at it, I guess. So they're the bad guys. And, it's just a city situation in a children's game that doesn't really want to think about it too hard. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't super invested. It's a fucking Metroid game. I don't care about the story that much. But it does make me like the Ing less compared to even the space pirates. Because one thing that's fun about the space pirates is they're, like, fucking stupid and dopey. And there's the air pirates who, whenever you kill them, they're like fucking tanks on their back, like they rocket towards you and fucking explode and die, and it's really funny. Or even in Metroid 2, there's like some logs that are funny. Like there's one where it's like, the science team thinks that Metroids may be tameable. The science team has vapor for brains. I've lost 4 men to the fucking Metroids and trying to tame them, and it's like, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Or in the first game, there's one where they describe trying to copy Samus's morph ball technology, and you guys remember Iron Man 2? Yeah, it's in the opening scene where we see all the other imitation Iron Man projects going, and goes kind of like that. And so I don't know, the space pirates just, like, they're horribly evil, they have, but just shitty, and like they have awful working conditions, and they just exploit and pollute these planets that they come to, but at least they have, like, character, I guess, or the Ing are just like Ing, like, they're so boring. And it's just, and like how the light world dark world mechanic works is like, you just go to the dark world and you take a lot of damage if you're in the atmosphere of the dark world, unless you're in the light crystals, and which makes it a chore to explore early on. And then, like, by later on in the game, like, the dark world portions aren't even connected to each other anymore. Like, they're just like rooms, that you just go in through a door in the light world, and now you're in like a dark world section, and it doesn't even connect to the other parts of the dark world in that like region of the map, basically. So it's just like, what's the fucking point, I guess? Like, and it just makes the whole thing really annoying to traverse in a game that already feels like I don't know, maybe it's really not that much larger than Metroid Prime 1, but it I don't know, it felt larger to me because it just like going back and like where Metroid Prime I felt like had like really well placed elevators and hub areas that kind of, I don't know, it didn't feel like any one part of the map was too hard to get to from another part. But in Metroid Prime 2 there was definitely like maybe it was just because I was fatigued from the game and biased, so maybe it is a bias, but like that's how I felt. I do think one thing people complain about way too hard in Metroid Prime 2 is the ammo, because like people say, oh, you run out of ammo, so you don't want to use the weapons, but it's like, but you get more ammo by using the ammo. And they did make it so that, like, I did think I got soft locked because I thought, oh wait, I ran out of ammo, I can't use this gun, but you can like, if you have no ammo, you can still charge it up and use it and to open doors and shit.
That's a really actually cool mechanic.
No, yeah, like, so you can still get a single regular shot off with the charge shot, so it's really shitty to use in battle, but you can still open... It's Metroid. You need to be able to... you play Metroid Prime, you open the doors with your beams, right? And I don't think Metroid Prime was perfect with its beam swapping, because, like, I like it more in the middle game when you have the beams and you have enemies that you want to use these certain beam types for, until you get the plasma beam, which kind of just kills everything. But then the Phazon mines have like color-coded enemies where the only one beam type works against them, so there's not really any problem solving there. It's just like, okay, I know what color. I'm not colorblind. I can play this game. Where Metroid Prime 2, I do, it's still pretty binary. Like dark world beam works better against enemies in light world and vice versa. But then you get the annihilation beam, which uses ammo from both, and it's effective against both. I don't know. It's just like I wasn't super into the beams as much, like slightly, and not even because of the ammo mechanic, just because it's just also, I don't know, the light and dark world stuff isn't super interesting, I guess. And the areas, the Sanctuary Fortress, which was like the third main map, looked pretty cool. But the dark world also just doesn't even look cool. Like it's just like it just kind of looks the same, and I don't know. I don't like being in the dark. Like, the dark world doesn't want you to be there because the atmosphere, like, again, it literally hurts you. So it's just like, I don't know. The world was a chore to explore. The fucking Sonic Visor is the worst fucking upgrade I've ever had in a Metroid game. Okay, so Vindy.
Yes.
If you scanned something and it said, like, oh, this is an echo door, you need to make noise on these certain things. Like, and you got an upgrade called the Sonic Visor. You'd assume the Sonic Visor would, help you interface with the Echo Door to unlock the Echo Door, right?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It would just depend on
this. Yeah.
On like how. I mean, I could believe how you would think. Like it just. I can't say because it would depend like how you get it in the game and the ways around getting it. But I'm not gonna say that you're like you're dumb.
You'd be half right because like, in order to do it, you also need the Annihilation Beam, because I guess the Annihilation Beam makes different sounds on the thing you're supposed to shoot compared to the other things. And I don't know, it just made me mad because I thought I made the connection. Like, okay, when I got the Sonic Visor, I can open up these echo things that I've been seeing around. I can't, because I don't have the fucking... Yeah, the Annihilation Beam opens up the echo doors. Great. Good to know. That totally makes sense. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's usually much more straightforward, like, than that in the Metroid games I've been playing so far. So that just, frustrated me. Also, they give you the screw attack. Screw attack. It's just you just are able to jump 5 times, kind of, in a specific way, purely horizontal, because obviously having 5 vertical jumps would completely break the game. But so it's just, and I don't maybe you can use it offensively, but it's like, I like it. The screw attack's great in the 2D games, and what I'm saying is in Metroid Prime 2 the screw attack sucks. So like, and then the last bosses are all just like awful, and they're way too long. Like, you can't design a game around the lock-on and then make it difficult to use the lock-on. So, like, Quadraxis, who's a kind of infamous boss, he's so big that, like, you need to kind of be, like, underneath him in order to lock onto his back leg joints. And yes, you do need to lock onto his back leg joints. The the final boss will literally just like close his eye for 3 seconds, and guess what? In between every attack, and guess what his weak point is? His fucking eye. So it's like you're just sitting there waiting for him to open his eye. Like, no. I don't want to fight this boss. I don't want to play this game anymore. Let me stop. And it was made worse before I realized I could just use the Annihilation Beam, because he has like a big leg that's like right in front of his face, and it's like really annoying to hit his eye with because he swaps between light and dark. So you go, okay, well, hit his light with a dark beam and vice versa. But just use the Annihilation Beam because it homes better. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I better stop thinking about the mechanics of the game that I've been using the whole game so far about light and dark, and just use the one beam they got me. And it's like, okay, sure. So basically, Metroid Prime 2 is really fucking frustrating, and I wish I liked it more, but instead it's just a chore, and I didn't like it.
Sad.
Oh, it's been a while since I went on a rant of something I didn't like. What do you guys think about talking about next week? Because I'm done.
I don't know.
I have it. I'll probably talk about Last of Us. Like, I did start it, but I wasn't home to play more of it. But I will continue playing it. I don't know how close I am to beating it, because I don't really have like a fucking idea of how long. Like I don't really like know when like I would be at the halfway point or at the fucking whatever point. Like, I don't really know that much about the story beats in the game to judge that. But I'll probably be done, I would think.
I'm getting
if not, then I'll just talk about like Urusei Yatsura again, honestly.
When you finish it, I have more to say. That makes sense. Go ahead, Vindy.
I'm getting a little bit of one of those classic, iconic, even Vindy itches to go through something that I've done multiple times, but this time do more than I normally do when I go through it. So I might have quite a few Star Wars movies watched by next week. I feel like I'm really feeling it. Part of it's because this Boba Fett show's come out. And I still never finished Mandalorian Season 2. So I think I might, like, watch all the movies again. Which, finally.
All the movies? Or just
all the movies. No. I don't do Star Wars halfway. I don't care how much I hate Episode 9. I don't care how much I don't love certain things in the prequels.
Rise of the Skywalker is so good.
When I go through it, I go through it all, because I always get something out of going through it all. And the last time I did it was in Rise of Skywalker, was right before Rise of Skywalker came out.
Well worth it. I love that movie so much.
I'm going to ignore none, and then I'm going to I want to watch all of that. Watch Mandalorian, watch the Boba Fett show. And then the other thing I really want to do is watch all of the Clone Wars, because I've actually never done that. So
yeah, I was thinking, because like Clone Wars, and also I like Star Wars Rebels.
Personally. I never watched Rebels. I don't know if I will. But
the production value is definitely lower, but I personally enjoyed it more than anything I got out of the Clone Wars, honestly.
But I also really want to watch the Bad Batch as well.
What the fuck is that?
That's the new show. That's a more direct sequel to Clone Wars.
Okay.
Oh,
Bad Batch of Clones. I see.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's here. I'll actually just tell you what Disney says the synopsis is. And the other reason I really want to do this,
first I've heard of it,
is because fucking the Obi-Wan show's coming out this year, I think. And let me tell you, when I say I am excited for that goddamn Obi-Wan show, whoo boy. But let me look. Bad Batch is. Yeah, it's the clones of the Bad Batch after the Clone Wars. I think it's some clones that didn't get Order 66. It looks like visually much closer to the Clone Wars than like Rebels did. And I think I've heard mostly good things about
Rebels basically had the same style, so I don't
understand
how.
But Rebels changed the style a little bit. Bad Batch didn't.
Okay.
Because Rebels definitely changed the style. That's because they're like thinner and less. The angles are less harsh, especially in like facial features in Rebels.
Okay. It's been a while since I've seen either, so.
But yeah, that's also then. I don't think there's any other Star Wars stuff I want to go through. After I do that, but I might watch. I still want to decide my my watch order.
You already saw Visions, right?
Oh no, I still haven't seen Visions either. So Visions I definitely have to watch. I might watch some of the other stuff, but the biggest reason I haven't started yet is because I haven't decided.
The only other thing of like at least video media with Star Wars I can think of is the animated Clone Wars show, the Kennedy.
Yeah, I was gonna watch that. I was gonna watch that too. Also, when I say I watch all the movies, I also watch Solo and Rogue One because I think both of those are interesting enough that they're worth watching. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see. The biggest thing I was gonna say right now, the biggest problem I'm having when it comes to watching it, is I don't know what order I want to watch it in yet. I haven't decided. I haven't decided if I want to do release order, if I want to do 1 through
something like the machete order or one of those.
No, I wouldn't do that. It would just I don't like the machete order just as an idea.
Okay.
It would either be 1 through 9 in numerical order and then do and then I would just do the spin-offs after 9. I would just go, or maybe I don't know. I'd probably do them after 9. I'd either do them in between 3 and 4 because that's when they take place chronologically, or I'd just do it after 9. But I'm really not sure which between those. But I'll probably just end up going in release order.
Release order.
Yeah. So I'll just.
Because I was thinking like chronological order, especially like I don't know. Yeah, or at least
the
like,
problem is like
just do it
always watching release order is like the biggest problem is that's the order I always watch it in. So I feel like I should just start with Phantom Menace. So I don't know. I have to figure that out. But yeah, it'll probably be Star Wars.
But yeah, as for me, I will probably talk about the Zelda games that I played last year, which would be I won't spend too much time on Zelda 2, but I'll probably talk about Link to the Past and mostly Link's Awakening. Because I don't think I'll have much else finished yet until because I have some of the things I'm working on, basically, but I don't know what else I will feel about talking about next week. So, because I already talked about Monogatari, so yeah, sure, I watched Neko Monogatari Kuro, and I'll be done with second season by then, but I still have more to go, so it's I can wait, and stuff like that I can wait on. So, yeah, all right, that about covers it. So, we will see you next time.
Adios.
Yeah, thank you for listening.